The lights in the Galactic Coalition Council chamber flickered like dying stars. Ambassador Kai pressed his purple hands against the cold metal table and tried to steady his breathing. His people, the Velthani, had never known fear like this before. For 3,000 years, they had lived in peace, creating beautiful art and studying the mysteries of space. Now, everything they loved was about to die. Kai looked up at the massive screen showing the destruction of Veltan 3. The colony, world that once housed 50 million Velthani, was now nothing but glowing rocks floating in space. The Draknari had burned it all in less than 6 hours. Their bioships moved like hungry beasts through space, eating entire worlds and leaving. "Nothing behind, please," Kai said into the communication device. His voice cracked with emotion. "We need help. The Draknari will reach our homeworld in 10 days. Maybe less." On the other side of the galaxy, Minho sat in his office at Luna Station. The human diplomat had been dealing with alien problems for 15 years, but he had never seen anything like this. The reports coming from Velthani space were terrible. The Draknari Empire was moving faster than anyone thought possible. Minho studied the data on his screen. The Draknari had already destroyed 6 Velthani colonies. Their fleet was massive, with bioships that could repair themselves and weapons that turned matter into energy. The Coalition had tried to stop them before, but the Draknari were too strong. Most species just ran away when they saw those living ships coming. "What about the other Coalition members?" Minho asked. "Can anyone else help you?" Kai's image on the screen shook his head sadly. "The Zenthari are fighting their own war with the Croxy rebels. The Milani say their fleet is too small. The Vorthan are 3 months away even at maximum speed. By then—" He could not finish the sentence. Minho understood. By then, there would be no Velthani left to save. The human diplomat leaned back in his chair. The galaxy saw humans as the helper species. When someone needed medical supplies or food, they called Earth. When colonies needed to be built or refugees needed homes, humans were always ready to help. But military aid? Most aliens thought humans were too peaceful for real war. "I will contact Earth Command immediately," Minho said. "We will send whatever help we can." "Thank you," Kai whispered. "I know humans are not warriors, but any help would be—" "We will do what we can," Minho repeated. He ended the call and immediately opened a new communication channel. This one was different. It was encrypted with codes that only a few humans knew. The signal went straight to Admiral Jiwan on the hidden military station near Pluto. Admiral Jiwan was reviewing fleet reports when the priority message arrived. She was a small woman, but her eyes held the strength of steel. For 20 years, she had been preparing for this moment. While the galaxy thought humans were peaceful traders and doctors, she had been building the most powerful war fleet in known space. "Admiral," came the voice of her aide, Captain Hyun. "Priority message from Luna Station." Jiwan opened the message and read it quickly. Her face did not change expression, but her hands tightened on the desk. The Draknari were finally making their big move. For months, human scout ships had been watching the bioship fleets gathering near Draknari space. Now they were striking at the heart of Coalition territory. "Contact all fleet commanders," Jiwan ordered. "Operation Guardian Shield is now active." Captain Hyun nodded and rushed out of the room. Within minutes, secret bases throughout the solar system came alive with activity. Ships that had been hidden in asteroid fields and behind moons began powering up their engines. Weapons that had been tested in secret for decades were loaded and prepared for battle. On Mars, General Soman received the alert at her underground command center. She looked at the tactical display showing human military assets across 3 solar systems. For 50 years, humans had been pretending to be weak while building the strongest military force the galaxy had ever seen. "Begin Phase 1 deployment," she ordered her staff. "All stealth units to Velthan space immediately." Back on Luna Station, Minho sent another message to Kai. "Help is coming," he wrote. "Expect human ships to arrive in your system within a week." Kai read the message with mixed emotions. He was grateful that humans were willing to help, but what could they really do? Human ships were known for carrying medical supplies and food, not weapons. The Draknari bioships were the size of cities and could destroy entire fleets. Still, help was help. Maybe human medical ships could evacuate some Velthani before the end came. Maybe their transport vessels could carry art and cultural records to safety. It would not save their world, but it might save their memory. Admiral Jiwan stood on the bridge of her flagship, the Soul's Pride. The massive dreadnought was larger than most space stations, bristling with weapons that could crack planets in half. Around her, the human fleet prepared for the longest jump in their history. "All ships report ready for hyperspace," reported Commander Do-Yun from the tactical station. "Very good," Jiwan replied. She looked out at the 375 ships of her combined fleet. Each vessel was crewed by humans who had trained their entire lives for this moment. They knew the galaxy thought of them as peaceful helpers. Soon, the galaxy would learn the truth. "All ships," she broadcast across the fleet. "Jump in 30 seconds. Remember, we are not just fighting for the Velthani. We are showing the galaxy what happens when someone threatens our friends." The stars streaked past as the human fleet entered hyperspace, racing toward a battle that would change everything. Behind them, Earth continued its normal business, with most humans not knowing that their hidden fleet was about to shock the galaxy. In the Coalition Council chamber, Kai prepared to address his people one last time. He would tell them that help was coming, even though he feared it would not be enough. The Draknari had never been stopped before. But maybe, just maybe, the humans would surprise everyone. He had no idea how right he was. The Soul's Pride cut through hyperspace like a knife through water. Admiral Jiwan stood on the bridge, watching the swirling colors of faster-than-light travel stream past the windows. Behind her flagship, 374 other human warships followed in perfect formation. This was the moment she had spent her entire career preparing for. "Admiral," called out Navigation Officer Park from his station, "we will reach Velthan space in 4 hours." Jiwan nodded. 4 hours to reach a battle that would decide the fate of an entire species. 4 hours before the galaxy learned what humans were really capable of. She had kept this secret for so long that sometimes she wondered if it was real, but the massive fleet around her proved it was very real indeed. Captain Hyun appeared at her side, holding a data pad with the latest intelligence reports. His ship, the Busan Runner, had been watching the Draknari for months without being detected. Human stealth technology was far ahead of anything the galaxy knew about. "The Draknari have committed their entire 3rd battle group to the Velthan system," Hyun reported. 200 bioships, including 12 capital vessels. They think this will be an easy victory. "How many civilians are still on the planet?" Jiwan asked. 4 billion Velthani, Hyun replied grimly. They refuse to evacuate. They say Velthos Prime has been their home for 3,000 years. They would rather die there than live somewhere else. Ji-won understood that feeling. If aliens attacked Earth, most humans would feel the same way. Home was not just a place you lived. It was part of who you were. What about their defenses? She asked. Hyun shook his head. The Velthani have never built weapons of war. Their planetary shields can stop asteroids and solar storms, but not military weapons. Their ships are designed for exploration and research, not fighting. The Draknari will break through their defenses in hours. On the other side of the solar system, General Soman watched her own preparations from the command center on Mars. The 1st Terran Shock Division was loading onto assault ships, ready to board enemy vessels and fight in the tight corridors of bioships. Colonel Do-yun led the elite unit, and every soldier under his command was a veteran of combat training that would terrify most aliens. "Sir," reported Major Kim from the communications desk, "all Marine units are ready for deployment. The Shock Division can begin boarding operations as soon as we reach the target." General Soman looked at the tactical display showing Draknari bioship designs. The enemy vessels were living creatures, grown rather than built. They could heal damage and adapt to new threats. But they had one weakness that the Draknari did not know about. Humans had been studying captured bioship samples for 10 years. "Make sure all teams have the biodisruptor weapons," she ordered. "Those ships may be alive, but they still have nervous systems. Our weapons can paralyze them long enough for boarding teams to reach vital areas." Back on the Soul's Pride, Admiral Ji-won reviewed the battle plan one more time. The human fleet would drop out of hyperspace at the edge of the Veltan system, hopefully before the Draknari detected them. Then they would move in fast, using their superior speed and firepower to hit the enemy before they could react. It was a good plan, but it depended on surprise. If the Draknari saw them coming too early, the bioships could adapt their defenses. The enemy was dangerous because they could learn and change during battle. "Admiral," called out Communications Officer Lee, "we are receiving a transmission from Velthos Prime." "Put it on screen," Ji-won ordered. Ambassador Kai appeared on the main display. He looked exhausted, with purple skin pale from stress. Behind him, Ji-won could see other Velthani rushing around, clearly preparing for the worst. "This is Ambassador Kai to any human ships that might be listening," the alien said. "The Draknari fleet has been detected at the edge of our system. They will be here in 12 hours. We want to thank you for trying to help us. Even if you cannot save us, we will remember that someone cared." The transmission ended. Ji-won felt anger burn in her chest. The Draknari thought they could destroy an entire peaceful species just because they wanted more territory. They were about to learn that humans did not allow such things to happen. "All ships," she broadcast to the fleet. "Prepare for combat drop in 1 hour. Remember your training. Remember why we are here. The Velthani have never hurt anyone. They create art and study the stars. The Draknari want to kill them just because they can. We will not let that happen." Throughout the human fleet, crews made final preparations. Weapons were charged, shields were powered up, and Marines checked their equipment one last time. Many of these humans had never seen real combat, but they had all trained for years. They knew what they had to do. On the heavy cruiser Daegu's Hammer, Commander Song briefed her weapons teams. "The bioships are tough, but they have weak spots. Target the neural clusters near the front of each vessel. Once we disrupt their nervous systems, they cannot coordinate their defenses." On the assault carrier Gwangju's Spear, Colonel Do-yun spoke to his Marines. These creatures have destroyed 6 worlds. 50 million innocent beings are dead because of them. We are going to make sure they never kill again. Captain Hyun returned to his stealth ship to coordinate reconnaissance. The Busan runner would scout ahead, identifying priority targets and watching for Draknari reinforcements. His crew had been spying on the enemy for so long that they knew the bioships better than the Draknari themselves. As the fleet prepared to drop out of hyperspace, Admiral Ji-won thought about the message she would send to Earth after the battle. For 50 years, humans had hidden their military strength, letting the galaxy think they were peaceful helpers. After today, that would change forever. But it was worth it. Better for the galaxy to fear human military power than to let innocent species be destroyed by empires like the Draknari. Sometimes, the only way to protect peace was to be very good at war. "All ships report ready," announced Commander Park. "Very good," Admiral Ji-won replied. "Drop us out of hyperspace. Time to show the Draknari what humans do to bullies." The stars stopped streaking as the human fleet returned to normal space. Ahead of them, the Veltan system waited, unaware that help had finally arrived. Warbrood Vakth stretched his massive claws and looked out at the beautiful blue world of Velthos Prime. The Draknari commander stood 8 feet tall, with scales that shifted from green to black depending on his mood. Right now, those scales showed the dark satisfaction of a predator about to feed. His flagship, the Flesh Render, was a living creature the size of a city. Its bio-hull pulsed with a heartbeat that shook the entire vessel. Around it, 200 other Draknari bioships waited in formation, their weapons already charging for the final assault on the planet below. "Status report," Vakth growled to his crew. "The Velthani shields are weakening," reported his tactical officer. "Another 6 hours of bombardment should break them completely. After that, we can begin harvesting the population." Vakth nodded with pleasure. The Velthani would make excellent slaves. Their telepathic abilities could be useful, and their peaceful nature meant they would not cause trouble. Those who survived the conquest would serve the Draknari Empire for generations. "Sir," called another officer from the sensor station, "we are detecting ships approaching from the outer system." "Reinforcements?" Vakth asked. He was not expecting help, but other Draknari fleets sometimes arrived to claim part of the victory. "No, sir. The signatures are human." Vakth laughed, a sound like rocks grinding together. "Humans? What are those soft creatures doing here? Probably bringing medical supplies for the Velthani. How touching." He had heard of humans before. They were the species that ran supply lines and built hospitals, useful for cleaning up after real warriors did their work, but nothing to worry about. Their ships were slow, and their weapons were weak. "How many vessels?" he asked, not really caring about the answer. The sensor officer stared at his display for a long moment. "Sir, I am getting readings for... This cannot be right." "What cannot be right?" Vakth demanded. "The computer says there are over 300 human ships approaching, but that is impossible. Humans do not have fleets that large." Vakth moved to the sensor station and looked at the display himself. The numbers made no sense. Humans were support creatures, not warriors. They did not build massive fleets. Yet the sensors clearly showed hundreds of ships coming from the edge of the system. "Are you certain these are human vessels?" he asked. "The energy signatures match human technology," the officer replied. "But, sir, some of these ships are reading as larger than our own flagship." That was definitely impossible. The Flesh Render was one of the largest vessels in Draknari space. No human ship could be bigger. Put the image on screen, Vakth ordered. Main display activated, showing a view of deep space near the system's edge. At first, Vakth saw nothing but stars. Then space began to ripple, and ships started appearing as they dropped out of hyperspace. The first vessel to emerge was enormous. It was shaped like a wedge, with armor plating that gleamed like silver. Weapons ports lined its hull, more firepower than Vakth had ever seen on a single ship. As he watched in growing amazement, more ships appeared around it. Cruisers, destroyers, carriers, all in perfect formation. "By the blood of the first brood," whispered his tactical officer. "There are hundreds of them." Vakth stared at the display in shock. These were not the small support ships he expected from humans. These were warships, real warships, designed for serious combat. The largest vessel was easily twice the size of his own flagship. "Get me a count," he ordered, his voice no longer confident. 375 vessels, reported the sensor officer. 12 of them are dreadnought class. The rest are cruisers, destroyers, and support ships. Vakth felt something he had not experienced in decades: uncertainty. The Draknari Empire had conquered dozens of species, but they had never faced a fleet this large. How had humans hidden such military power? On Velthos Prime, Ambassador Kai watched the same display in the Coalition emergency bunker. He had been preparing to record a final message to the galaxy, a farewell from his dying species. Instead, he found himself staring at the most beautiful sight he had ever seen. "Are those really human ships?" asked Prime Speaker Yolan, the leader of the Velthani government. "The computer confirms it," Kai replied, his voice filled with wonder. "But I have never seen human vessels like these. They are massive." Other Velthani gathered around the display, their purple faces filled with hope for the first time in days. The human fleet moved with precision that impressed even the peaceful Velthani. Every ship knew exactly where it belonged. Every formation was perfect. "Look at the size of that lead ship," whispered Science Minister Tala. "It must be 5 kilometers long." The humans had not just sent aid. They had sent an entire battle fleet, larger than anything the Velthani had imagined possible. Maybe, just maybe they actually had a chance. Back on the Draknari flagship, Warbrood Vakth tried to make sense of what he was seeing. His intelligence reports said humans were weak. They avoided conflict and focused on trade and exploration. Yet here was proof that those reports were completely wrong. "Sir," called his communications officer, "we are receiving a transmission from the human fleet." "Put it through," Vakth ordered. A human face appeared on the screen. It was a small female, with short, dark hair and eyes like ice. She wore a uniform that Vakth did not recognize, with symbols that meant nothing to him. When she spoke, her voice was calm and cold. "This is Admiral Jiwan of the Human Defense Fleet," the woman said. "You have 10 minutes to withdraw from Velthani space. This is your only warning." Vakth stared at the screen in amazement. This tiny creature was threatening him? He commanded 200 bioships and had never lost a battle. Yet something in the human's eyes made him hesitate. "You cannot be serious," he finally replied. "We are the Draknari Empire. We have conquered 12 species. Your little fleet cannot stop us." 9 minutes and 30 seconds, Admiral Jiwan replied calmly. "You do not understand," Vakth continued. "Our bioships can heal damage and adapt to your weapons. We are invincible." 9 minutes, the human said. Vakth felt his scales shift to angry red. No one had ever dismissed him like this. The Draknari were the most feared warriors in the galaxy. This human female was either incredibly brave or completely insane. "Very well," he growled. "If you wish to die protecting these peaceful fools, that is your choice. All ships, prepare for battle. Target the human fleet." "Sir," interrupted his tactical officer. "Are you certain? That is a very large fleet. Maybe we should call for reinforcements." "Reinforcements?" Vakth roared. "We are Draknari. We do not run from humans. Attack!" Admiral Jiwan closed the communication channel and turned to her bridge crew. "Well, that went about as expected. All ships, battle stations, time to show these bullies what happens when they threaten our friends." The human fleet moved forward, weapons powering up and shields strengthening. The Draknari fleet moved to meet them, bioships pulsing with excitement for battle. Neither side knew that this fight would change the galaxy forever. The first shots of the Battle of Veltos Prime lit up space like a new sun. The Draknari bioships opened fire with weapons that turned matter into pure energy. Beams of destruction reached across the void toward the human fleet, expecting to burn through enemy shields like they had done to countless other species. Instead, the energy beams struck barriers of light that flared but did not break. Human shield technology absorbed the massive attack and held firm. Admiral Jiwan smiled grimly as the enemy's best weapons failed to penetrate even her destroyer's defenses. "Return fire," she ordered calmly. The Soul's Pride unleashed its main weapons. Particle beams lanced out from the dreadnought, striking the nearest Draknari bioship. The creature screamed across all communication frequencies as human weapons tore through its living hull. Biomatter sprayed into space as the alien vessel tried desperately to heal itself. It was not fast enough. More human ships joined the attack, focusing their fire on the wounded bioship. Within minutes, the massive creature was dead, floating in space like a broken toy. Warbrood Vakth watched in horror from his flagship. One of his capital vessels had been destroyed in less than 3 minutes. These humans had firepower beyond anything he had ever seen. "All ships evasive maneuvers," he commanded. "Do not let them concentrate fire." But the human fleet moved like a machine. Every ship knew exactly what to do. As the Draknari tried to scatter, human destroyers moved to cut off their escape routes. Cruisers formed up to provide covering fire. The dreadnoughts advanced in perfect formation, their massive guns tracking new targets. Captain Hyun watched the battle from his stealth ship, the Busan Runner. His vessel was invisible to Draknari sensors, allowing him to move freely through the enemy fleet. While the main battle raged, he had a different mission. "Target the enemy command ship," he told his crew. "All bioships are connected to their flagship through organic networks. If we can disrupt their communications, the whole fleet will be confused." The Busan Runner moved silently through space, avoiding the energy beams and plasma bursts that filled the void around them. Hyun's ship was equipped with special weapons designed to attack living vessels. Instead of trying to destroy the bioships, these weapons would paralyze them. "Fire biodisruptor torpedoes," Hyun ordered. 6 torpedoes launched from hidden tubes, each one designed to attack the nervous system of a bioship. They struck different Draknari vessels and released clouds of particles that interfered with organic functions. The alien ships began to move erratically as their nervous systems failed. "Direct. Hit on 5 targets," reported Weapons Officer Nam. "Enemy vessels are showing signs of neural disruption." On the Soul's Pride, Admiral G1 watched the tactical display with satisfaction. The human fleet was performing exactly as planned. Decades of secret training and preparation were paying off. The Draknari, despite their reputation, were not ready for an enemy that actually knew how to fight. "Ma'am," called Commander Park from the tactical station, "enemy bioships are trying to adapt to our weapons. Some of them are developing new armor." "Expected," Ji-won replied. "That is why we brought multiple weapon types. Switch to plasma cannons and ion beams. Keep them guessing." The human ships changed their attacks, using different weapons to prevent the bioships from adapting. Every time the Draknari began to develop defenses against one type of weapon, the humans switched to another. The enemy creatures could not heal fast enough to keep up. Colonel Do-yun prepared for his own part of the battle. His marine assault ships moved toward disabled Draknari vessels, ready to board and capture them. The 1st Terran Shock Division had trained for years in bioship combat. They knew exactly how to fight inside living vessels. "All teams, remember your training," Do-hyun broadcast to his Marines. "These ships are alive, but they still have weak points. Target the nerve clusters and control organs. Do not let the bioship trap you in its healing tissue. The assault ships attach themselves to damaged Draknari vessels like parasites. Marines in powered armor cut through biohull with special tools designed to slice living matter. They moved quickly, before the ships could heal the wounds. Inside the bioships, the Marines found corridors that pulsed like arteries and walls that tried to grow shut behind them. The Draknari had never faced boarders who knew how to fight. In such conditions, human weapons fired biodisruptor rounds that paralyzed organic walls and floors. "Team 3, we have reached the control chamber," reported Sergeant Jin over the radio. "The bioship is trying to digest our equipment, but our suits are holding." "Understood," Do-hyun replied. "Plant the neural disruptor and get out. We need that ship disabled, not destroyed." The Marines worked with deadly efficiency. They had practiced these tactics countless times in simulations based on captured bioship samples. The Draknari crew fought desperately, but they were not prepared for human close combat skills. Back in space, the main battle was turning into a massacre. The Draknari fleet, which had seemed so powerful attacking defenseless Veltani, was being systematically destroyed by human forces. Bioships that had conquered entire star systems were burning in the void. Warbrood Vakth realized his fleet was doomed. These humans were not the peaceful support species he had expected. They were warriors, trained and equipped for serious combat. Somehow, they had hidden their true military power from the entire galaxy. "Sir," called his tactical officer, "we have lost 60% of our ships. The humans are not taking casualties. Their shields are too strong." Vakth's pride warred with his survival instincts. The Draknari Empire had never retreated from battle, but they had also never faced an enemy like this. "Retreat," he finally ordered. "All surviving ships, withdraw to hyperspace." But Admiral Ji-won was not finished. "All ships pursue fleeing enemies. We cannot let them escape to report our capabilities to the Draknari Empire." The human fleet gave chase as bioships tried desperately to reach hyperspace. Many of them were too damaged to jump. Others were caught by human destroyers that had positioned themselves to cut off escape routes. The Soul's Pride targeted Vakth's flagship directly. The massive dreadnought's main guns charged up for a final attack. But instead of destroying the enemy vessel, Ji-won had a different plan. "Colonel Do-hyun," she broadcast to the Marine commander, "I want that flagship captured, not destroyed. We need prisoners for intelligence." Understood, Admiral, Do-yun replied. Preparing assault teams now. The battle was almost over. In less than 6 hours, the human fleet had destroyed or captured most of the Draknari force. The bioships that had terrorized the galaxy for decades were no match for human military technology and tactics. On Velthos Prime, Ambassador Kai watched the battle with amazement. The humans had not just driven off the Draknari. They had completely defeated them. His species was safe, and the galaxy had just learned that humans were far more dangerous than anyone had imagined. But the biggest surprise was yet to come. Even as the space battle raged, human medical ships were deploying to the planet's surface, keeping their original promise to provide aid while simultaneously waging total war above. 3 days after the battle, the Galactic Coalition Emergency Council met in stunned silence. Representatives from dozens of species sat around the great circular table, all trying to understand what they had witnessed. The recordings of the Battle of Velthos Prime had spread across the galaxy, shocking every civilization. Ambassador Kai stood at the center of the chamber, his purple skin bright with health and happiness. Behind him, holographic displays showed the aftermath of the human victory. Captured Draknari bioships floated in space, their crews imprisoned and their weapons disabled. The terrible fleet that had destroyed 6 worlds in 3 months was gone. The Velthani people owe their lives to humanity, Kai announced to the council. But this victory raises questions that we must discuss. Minho entered the chamber with calm confidence. The human diplomat had spent the last 3 days answering emergency communications from across the galaxy. Everyone wanted to know the same thing. Where had this massive human fleet come from? The floor recognizes the human representative, announced Council Speaker Zeth, a tall being with crystal-like skin. Minho walked to the center of the chamber and looked around at the assembled aliens. Many of them seemed afraid. For decades, they had seen humans as helpful but harmless. Now they knew the truth was very different. Fellow council members, Minho began, I understand your confusion. Yes, humanity possesses significant military capabilities. Yes, we chose not to reveal this information until now. And yes, we did this deliberately. A voice called out from the Zenthari section. Why? Why hide such power? Minho smiled slightly. Because the moment we revealed what we were truly capable of, we would have been seen as a threat rather than allies. We wanted to be your friends first, your protectors second. But the deception, protested Ambassador Vel of the Milani. You let us think you were weak. We let you think we were peaceful, Minho corrected. There is a difference. We prefer peace. We build hospitals and schools rather than weapons factories. We explore new worlds instead of conquering them. But when peaceful species are threatened by empires like the Draknari, we respond with overwhelming force. The chamber buzzed with conversation in dozens of languages. Admiral Jiwan entered and walked to stand beside Minho. The small human female looked tiny among the larger alien delegates, but everyone fell silent when she spoke. I am Admiral Jiwan of the Human Defense Fleet, she announced. I commanded the force that defeated the Draknari at Velthos Prime. I am here to answer your questions about human military capabilities. How long have you had such a fleet? Asked the Vorthon representative. 50 years, Jiwan replied honestly. We began building our hidden fleet after first contact with the galaxy. We studied the various threats out here and decided we needed to be prepared for the worst. Hidden where? Demanded the Croxy ambassador. Throughout our solar system, Jiwan answered. Asteroid bases, lunar facilities, stations hidden behind gas giant moons. We learned to keep our military assets invisible to outside observers. More questions came rapidly. How many ships did humans really have? What other weapons did they possess? Were there other human fleets in other star systems? Jiwan answered some questions and declined to answer others. She revealed enough to make clear that the fleet at Velthos Prime was only part of human military power, but not so much that potential enemies could plan counters. The important thing, she concluded, is that these forces exist to protect our allies and innocent species. We are not conquerors. We do not want your worlds or your resources. We want peace, and we are very good at ensuring peace. In the Draknari Empire, the news of the defeat sent shockwaves through their government. War Brood Vakth sat in a prison cell on a human ship, but his testimony had already reached the Imperial Council. The humans possessed weapons and ships that made Draknari biotechnology look primitive. Emperor Thaxon called an emergency meeting of his war leaders. The great tyrant who had conquered 12 species was forced to consider something he had never thought possible: defeat. "How many human ships are there?" he asked his intelligence chief. "Unknown, Your Majesty. Our prisoner estimates at least 2,000 vessels, but that could be conservative. They have been building in secret for decades." "Can we defeat them?" The war chief hesitated. "Our analysis suggests that human technology is superior to ours in most areas. Their shields are stronger, their weapons more powerful, and their tactics more advanced. A direct confrontation would likely result in our defeat." For the first time in his long reign, Emperor Thaxon decided that diplomacy might be better than war. He ordered his ambassadors to contact the humans and begin peace negotiations. Similar scenes played out across the galaxy. Aggressive species that had been planning conquests suddenly found diplomatic solutions more appealing. The knowledge that humans possessed overwhelming military power and were willing to use it changed everything. On Earth, General Soman received reports from intelligence services throughout human space. Pirates were avoiding human shipping routes. Warlike species were offering trade agreements instead of making threats. The galaxy's entire balance of power had shifted in 3 days. "Ma'am," reported her aide, Major Kim, "we are receiving requests for protection from 17 different species. They all want human fleets stationed in their systems." And our response? Admiral Jiwon recommends accepting only those requests from species that have never shown aggression toward their neighbors. We protect the peaceful and let the warlike worry about each other. Captain Hyun returned to Earth with intelligence, gathered during the battle. His analysis of captured Draknari technology would help human scientists develop even better weapons and defenses. But more importantly, his recordings of how quickly the galaxy's attitude toward humanity had changed. "Sir," he reported to Admiral Jiwon, "every major power is reassessing their relationships with Earth. The Zenthari want to upgrade their trade agreements. The Vorthon are offering to share their hyperspace technology. Even the Croxy rebels have stopped raiding our supply convoys." "And the reaction from peaceful species?" "Gratitude, mostly," Hyun replied. "The Velthani have declared Earth their greatest ally. Dozens of other species are requesting human protection agreements." 3 months later, Ambassador Kai visited Earth for the first time. He stood in the human capital city, amazed by the bustling streets filled with beings from a dozen different worlds. Since the Battle of Velthos Prime, Earth had become the unofficial military headquarters for the entire Galactic Coalition. "It is strange," he told Minho as they walked through the city. "Before, humans seemed like helpful servants. Now, everyone, knows you are the most powerful species in the galaxy, yet you still act like helpers. Minho nodded. That is the point. We do not want to rule the galaxy. We want to protect it. There is a difference. And if another threat emerges, something worse than the Draknari, then we will handle it, Minho replied confidently. The galaxy is under human protection now, whether everyone realizes it or not. That protection comes with a promise. Behave peacefully, and we will be your friends. Threaten innocent species, and you will face the full might of humanity. High above Earth's surface, Admiral G1 stood on the observation deck of Luna Station. Around her, the lights of human ships moved through space, carrying supplies and personnel to new bases throughout the galaxy. The secret was out now. Everyone knew that humanity was the guardian of galactic peace. "Admiral," came a voice behind her. Captain Hyun approached with a message pad. "Priority transmission from the Outer Rim. 3 species are reporting attacks by unknown raiders. They are requesting immediate human assistance." Jiwan smiled and took the message. "Prepare the 5th and 7th fleets for deployment. It seems our work is just beginning." As the human fleets prepared for their next mission, one thing had become clear to the entire galaxy. When you asked humans for aid, you did not get just enough help to survive. You got enough help to win completely. The age of human guardianship had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same.